Hi everyone, this is Future Ian editing this video, and I realized after going over the footage that I mispronounced the album title. I frequently refer to as Don't Feed the Pop Machine. Ignore that. Just pretend I meant to say monster, because I meant to say monster and I didn't come out as monster, I came out as machine every time I said it. So it is Don't Feed the Pop Monster. That is the album. This is an album review for the new Broods album, Don't Feed the Pop Machine. This is the third studio album from Broods, a New Zealand music duo consisting of siblings Georgia and Caleb Knott. Since 2013, this indie pop outfit has been releasing some very enjoyable music. Their debut album, Evergreen, was well received by critics as well as their sophomore LP, Conscious, the latter being slightly better than the former. Broods has also been on tour with some of the most famous artists from this decade, including Eli Goulding, Taylor Swift, and even Lorde. On Don't Feed the Pop Machine, the duo's Indietronica sound doesn't really deviate all that much from their previous releases. On one hand of the album, there are some very eccentric synth-pop choruses, along with some genuinely good singing from Georgia. Songs like Sucker, Peach, and Dust, to name a few. The sound is colorful, bright, and the vocals are well done on parts of this album, whether it be in parts of some songs or an entire track. The track I think best shows Georgia's ability to sing is on the track Everything Goes. Wow. Her sound and vocal performance on this track is so much different, juxtaposed to all the other songs on this album. It is less raspy and more enjoyable in my opinion. The song Hospitalized has a very catchy chorus alongside a very iridescent production. Also, the song Old Dog has a really nice groove to it that makes you want to move to its beat. And on the other hand of the album, there are some sleeper songs that really don't do much for me. Songs like Why Do You Believe Me and Falling Apart have a lackluster production throughout most of the track, the former being the epitome of all that is bad on this album. Georgia's vocals on the song Falling Apart are layered in autotune, which does not do it justice. We know she can sing well, she did it on Everything Goes. Wow, why doesn't she do it here? Is it artistic, or is it because they just didn't want to do another take? To Be Long features the second half of the duo, Caleb, singing, and while it's not a necessarily bad track, it is one of the longest on the album, and it makes me kind of bored listening to it. Being the longest track on this album at almost 6 minutes, it really needs to entertain the listener throughout the entirety of the song, and it just fails to do that. While I appreciate what's on this album, there are points at which I get bored listening to repetitive production and lackluster singing. Georgia's singing is great on some parts of this album, but on other parts, it's just mediocre at best. In my opinion, there are two extremes of this album: the eccentric, loud synthpop, and then the quieter, more toned down, stripped back synthpop sound. There doesn't ever seem to be a middle ground between these two contrasting sounds, as if Georgia and Caleb did not want to compromise, so instead they just put in both, of which they bounce back and forth from each track. There are a couple songs that include some cliche lyricism, but while I don't think this is necessarily a bad album, I know Broods can do better. All in all, I'm giving this album a 63. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your opinions on this album down below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!